is Breakfast with Paul Culliver.
12:33 ABC Newcastle.
The Care Squeeze. Today we shine a light on the sandwich generation, the people who are raising children while caring for ageing parents, on ABC Radio.
If you'd like to be part of the conversation this morning, you certainly can give us a call, 1300 33 12 33, or text 0487 99 12 33. Certainly something that ABC Radio has recognised is a huge part of living your life in Australia. And so right through the day, not just on 12:33 ABC Newcastle, but in fact all of ABC Radio, putting a big focus on the care squeeze and trying to figure out, well, what the solutions are, but also the tips and tricks that might make your life that little bit easier. If you are going through that experience of having, well, older people in your life, your parents that you're caring for, as well as younger people like children and grandchildren too. I'm really grateful that I have two guests with both personal and very much professional experience in this area that can talk us through some of those aspects of life and how to manage them. Tegan Del Moro is Senior Financial Planner at Insight Wealth Planning and joins us. Hello to
Hello,
you, Tegan.
good morning.
Great to see you here. Thanks for coming in. And
Pleasure.
Greg Cronan, who is representing the Australian Institute of Intergenerational Practice and is also a carer himself. Greg, good morning.
Good morning, Paul. Thanks for your time.
Great to see both of you. Great to have you here in the studio and so to give us a very much a Newcastle and Hunter perspective too on this issue. I might start off by just getting to know both of you a little bit in terms of your professional and personal lives, Tegan and Greg. So let's start with you, Tegan, in terms of what you bring to the table.
Sure. So in our business as financial planners, we look after mums and dads of all different life stages. So not only were we seeing some of our older clients in terms of, care and ageing and the like needing more support, we were seeing clients as well in that, sandwich age group that were looking to support their parents and what financial support is available to them. So working through that, what options do they have available and very much supporting them on that journey.
Yeah. In terms of your personal life as well?
So personally as well, I've had a grandparent move through to the stages of residential aged care due to an acute health event.
Yeah.
So very much personally have supported family into transitioning into that space as well.
And that fast learning curve that we're sort of hearing about, trying to navigate all of that.
Absolutely. Often it's, a brand new thing that you're only hearing about all of this different terminology for the first time and navigating how to structure finances and the like so that it's appropriate for that person and they can get the best care that they need.
Yeah. How lucky are they have you in their life with all your experience?
It definitely came in handy.
Yeah. That's really wonderful. Greg, you have a lot of family here in Newcastle and you've got very much first-hand experience of this?
Yes, my mum was living in the Lake Macquarie area independently and then semi-independently, then into residential aged care. And for about 7 years lived with dementia and gradual decline and sadly passed away on the 1st of April this year.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear
So it's been a very sad year.
Yeah.
My father is still alive, 89 years of age, and also beginning to have that cognitive decline. So it's been challenging for our family. I'm one of 6. And as the studies show, it ends up falling onto one person, typically in the family, who ends up caring for or being the legal guardian. So my sister Diane was the one in the Lake Macquarie area, and I'm doing it for my father.
Yeah.
So that's a bit of my personal background. So we've gone through all the sort of phases and administrative and sort of bureaucracy of aged care, home care support, etc. And professionally, I'm from the Australian Institute of Intergenerational Practice. So Emeritus Professor Fitzgerald was going to be here, was invited. She sent her apologies, but I'm here as a sort of substitute for Annika Fitzgerald. And the Australian Institute of Intergenerational Practice was set up by academics from Griffith University as a knowledge hub and resource for the broader area of intergenerational programs, from early childhood, babies, playgroups, toddlers, to primary, secondary school and tertiary care, as a knowledge and resource hub. So if anyone out there wants to know more about how intergenerational programs can assist the sandwich generation, I suggest they look at the website for the AIIP.
Yeah. We might sort of get into this conversation. Happy to take it wherever sort of your experiences and knowledge take us. But to give us a picture of how I suppose just in terms of the Australian community, how big and growing this sandwich generation is. What's your sense of how big this is becoming for so many adult Australians facing this twin challenge?
Oh, absolutely. It's increasing and on the rise, and due to a range of factors as well. It can be something that's an acute health event for an older person and unexpected, then needing to require a lot of care, or it can be something that's starting out with needing care in the home, and then increasing with need from that stage. But it's definitely becoming more and more evident.
Yeah. And what about your experience, Greg?
Likewise, but also if you look at data from the Australian Bureau of Statistics, they're saying that for the next 15 to 20 years, the age group over 65 is going to double, the age group over 85 is going to quadruple, and we're all going to be living a lot longer. So living to 100 to 110 won't be that unusual. So the sandwich generation issue is a growing problem, but it's also a growing opportunity, which is where intergenerational programs can play their part.
If you are listening along and would like to be part of the conversation, perhaps you've got a specific experience or something that was a particular perhaps hurdle for you, or perhaps something that you found actually helped you along the way, would love to share your experience on the radio this morning on 1233 ABC Newcastle. You can give me a call, 1300 33 1233. As you've just heard, we've got some wonderful wealth of experience here in the studio. They might even be able to give you some insight and tips if you'd like to be a part of the radio program this morning, 1300 33 1233, or you can text 0487 99 1233. Greg?
Can I just give a definition of intergenerational practice?
Yeah, please.
So for those who perhaps aren't familiar with it, for example, they're well-planned and purposeful interactions, typically with children, young children and teenagers. They could be school students or early childhood, or toddlers and babies in playgroups. It involves a range of age groups and cultures. So not just Australian or sort of Mediterranean, or there's a whole range of cultures there.
Yeah.
It's older people with good cognitive abilities and declining cognitive abilities. We've had, I've been doing this for 6 years now as a practitioner of these programs. And some perhaps can't speak well, their hearing is not quite well, the way they appear, they're uncomfortable with their appearance. But we encourage them to participate. Some don't to start with, but then they do want to get involved because they hear how good it is. Even if those who are, you think, well, mum or dad can't really communicate that well, that's not the point. It's their very presence. Older people are linked to our anthropology. They have a calming effect on our physiology. Consistently, school teachers, principals, early childhood educators say the calming effect of these older people is phenomenal. But also the joy. It's bringing joy back into ageing, and we're missing out on that. And we've got a huge resource there in older people we're not tapping into. So a couple of other points here is that the AIP is an advocacy institute to nationally promote intergenerational programs in this space. It does research, it's a training hub as well. And there are 3 modes, just to summarise, of intergenerational programs. The visitation mode, where young visit old visit young, like the ABC series. Old people's home for 4-year-olds or teenagers. Co-located, where they purpose-build an early childhood adjacent to or part of an aged care home or retirement village. And third is a video call mode, using the TV in the classroom to connect to the TV in the aged care home. And that works very, very well.
Yeah. And Greg, what you've sort of, as you're talking there, I was thinking about the fact that in talking about this issue today, I've been trying to avoid the B word, burden, because we might use that as sort of a clinical term if we talk about health burden in hospital and economy, that kind of thing. But it's, while we might think about obligation or duty or anything like that, there is so much positive that comes with this intergenerational living or intergenerational experience and interaction, right? So there's so much more to it than just what responsibility might be on someone's shoulders.
And that's the lens a lot of people like myself and others are going through. How can I care for mum? Is she going to be lonely today? What activities are going to be there for her?
Yeah.
What's happening that's meaningful and purposely, entertaining to her as such?
Yeah.
And it's important we look at that because the studies show that personally meaningful and mentally stimulating activities can help delay the onset of dementia, if not diminish its severity. So what we're finding is with intergenerational programs, with the sandwich generation, back to your question, the issue of being alone in this problem, like feeling helpless, like how am I going to manage all this? I've got full-time work, I've got mum, dad to look after, or it could be a family friend even, who's old, children, grandchildren. So it's a guilt thing as well. I've got to go attend to one but not the other. So this is where loneliness is one of the big issues. for older people and persons. Who's caring for the carer? That's the question. Who's caring for the sandwich generation person? So this is where intergenerational programs help address the loneliness of older people and those caring for them. Mum and dad have got children coming today, or the teenagers. They don't know them to start with, but they enjoy it so much. We're bringing joy back into ageing.
Really love that. Let's turn to you, Tegan. Of course, in your experience as senior financial planner, what is that conversation when people come through the door? And I don't know what point do they realise that they've got maybe it's a problem or certainly a complexity to going, okay, on one hand, we've got to manage our parents' money and how far that's got to go. We've also maybe still got school bills or supporting kids at home that are maybe adults. What is that situation? What are those conversations that come your way?
Definitely. And it's about segregating them into, I guess, their own categories. All right, I've got to wear the hat of my own personal finances for my own family, but then switch potentially to have to wear the hat of managing finances for mum and dad, and trying not to confuse those things and get them too intertwined. Generally, if we're having a conversation around entry into residential aged care, how to best fund that, structure finances, if it is possible, we generally encourage to bring mum and dad in for the conversation as well, because it's important for their understanding as well. And of course, they will want to have some kind of say into what that looks like for them too. So we encourage to have support in multiple different respects, whatever that might look like, to come in with you so that you've got support and other ears in that conversation as well, because it's a lot of information to try and take on board quickly. So then more people in there, then more support for that person who's taking on a lot of the responsibility of making those big decisions financially for the future.
Yeah. And how often, this is the other thing, is how often is it a conversation about like, okay, mum and dad say have accumulated whatever wealth and they might have property and that kind of thing, versus going, oh, actually, maybe there's not enough there for the care that we need to provide and we have to start thinking about structuring our own finances to make this work.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a big eye-opener in that sense to say, well, what fees are associated with entering into aged care, and there are a few. You have to pay for the accommodation itself. So if you're talking about residential aged care, a room for the resident, but as well the costs of care. So the daily fee to just turn on the lights and for showering and basic care. There's also fees in regards to what you might consider like a happy hour fee in the home. So extra little perks like Foxtel, or it might be a wine of a Friday afternoon too. But as well, there's also some means testing that comes into consideration with residential aged care. So the more you may have, or the more mum and dad may have rather, in terms of assets and income, will influence how much they have to pay in terms of residential aged care fees. Though it definitely for people who are potentially acting in the capacity of power of attorney or similar, they are then reflecting and going, should we be thinking about structuring our own finances to consider these decisions that may come up for our own children in the future?
I really, that raised a question in my mind, which is about planning, and I perhaps will put it to both of you in terms of how much planning can improve finding yourself in a situation where you're caring for your parents and your children at the same time. Because I think this a common experience that you are going along, mum and dad are fine, they're living their life, and then the next thing you know, you are thrust into the world of trying to understand this complex home care, aged care, whatever it might be. How much could planning, where that is a luxury for you, make this transition smoother?
Yeah, I think having a plan in some respect is a great idea, because, as we said, it can come up unexpectedly and you don't want to feel like you're in the depths of trying to work it all out under pressure. Having a plan in advance would be a great thing. So if it's something in terms of an older person that's at home, having some options potentially on hand for respite care purposes. So respite care is to support giving someone who's a carer or potential carer a break. So that might be extra care in the home over a weekend. It might be a respite outing for just the day, for a facility that allows social outings and the like. Or you may be considering a plan for respite care with residential facilities. So you've got that there as a backup option in case that scenario comes up. So you're not feeling like it's, all of a sudden and unsure what way to go.
Yeah. It is 12:33 ABC Newcastle. Paul Culliver is my name. Your guest this morning, we are talking about the care squeeze. Tegan Del Moro, who you've just been hearing from, Senior Financial Planner with Insight Wealth Planning, and Greg Cronan, who's representing the Australian Institute of Intergenerational Practice, and he's also a carer himself. Greg, I don't know if there's there's some points there that you want to pick up on, or sort of that concept of planning ahead for the life that you're living as well as the loved ones around you.
Yeah, very good point. And I'd have to say that our family wasn't very well planned.
Yeah.
My sister did a great job in actually getting all the details together for my mum, and everything from care and finances to, sadly, funeral arrangements, and arranging those well ahead of time, so that my mum was quite happy with those arrangements, and my father, etc. So, but our society is changing rapidly. So when it comes to planning for the future, it's not just the family planning for what's going on. School students today in years to come will be governing you and I and the care for you and I. So what are we doing in schools and education as far as vocational education pathways to educate them about what the future society is going to look like, what future jobs will be out there? There's a stack of jobs in aged care, a lot of work in that space. In early childhood, But in aged care, we need a lot more students in those spaces. So not just planning from the family side of things, but governments, educators, healthcare, what are you planning to educate for future generations in this space? It's a growing problem, but also a growing opportunity.
Yeah. For both of you working in this space, and I suppose we want to, as well as exploring the issue, sort of try to find where we could be useful to people listening today. Are there pieces of advice or things that when you tell it to people going through this experience, like their face light up and they go, oh my God, I'm so glad I know that now? Or, what are those experiences in terms of the complexities and unknowns in navigating the care squeeze? Your face just lit up, Greg, as I said that.
I spoke to a person in New South Wales Department of Education, and I got halfway through my sentence about coming here today about the sandwich generation, and he interrupted me saying, don't even start me.
Oh, really?
So clearly this person had it's not a very positive issue for many people coming into this space. But with a limited time left, I think, it is a problem. Many people are not prepared for it. But what can we do to assist the sandwich generation? That's part of what I'm here for. And where to from here briefly is that I suggest parents, grandparents, whoever, contact your local school, early childhood, playgroup, library, P&F committee, local council, local member, and say, look, I want to start an intergenerational program, or how can we get it started? Contact the AIOP. But also service providers. You talked about transportation and social outings. So contact the community transport organisations. Some people don't have money to go out. They don't have mobility. It's great if you still get your car and transport, but if you're in aged care, you lose all that independence. Contact the in-home care, Meals on Wheels, home nursing, registered clubs, RSL bowling clubs, etc., Rotary clubs, churches and other organisations. Contact them, get the conversation going.
That's great. Tegan?
From my side, one thing that it would be really important, as much as it's uncomfortable to have a conversation about, is particularly having a conversation with older people around estate planning. So whether they have things like a power of attorney in place, who would they like to help in making decisions on their behalf in the future if they're not able to. Unfortunately, we do see people who don't have those things in place, which makes it really difficult when these events do come up. So an open conversation around estate planning, but as well finance and money in general. Sometimes there's that stigma of not having open conversations in families about money and structuring and all of that kind of thing as well. So opening up that conversation so that the family as a whole are aware of what's happening and present in that space.
Yeah, that preparation for that, which will save most likely your children a whole lot of paperwork and heartache going through all of that. I just want to quickly read some text messages, and we might have time for some sort of, if you have some parting thoughts that are very short here on 1233 ABC Newcastle. Sandy's texted, "This is not a new phenomenon. The fact that numbers have increased is due to population growth. In my own family, it goes back through generations. Our elders were always cared for. The only thing is a little different is that there are less children to take care of the parents these days." Well, that's an interesting point, with smaller families trending. Sue says, "Paul, we've been through the process of caring for elderly parents. Surprising, I found Centrelink to be a great help. I was not aware there were aged care specialists available in Centrelink." What a great tip, Sue. Thank you. Just one of the many organisations we dealt with in a very stressful time. And on that point, we've only got a couple of minutes left, but I don't wonder if there's any gems or any just parting thoughts that you wanted to share, Tegan and Greg.
Look, I think on the note of Centrelink, that's a great place to start.
Yeah.
If there's someone that's needing care in the home, there are things like carers allowance and the like that are available, and navigating that system to get a little bit of financial support is fantastic and
Wonderful.
a good start.
Thank you for that, Greg.
Dr. Susan Curl is a geriatrician on the ABC TV series Old People's Homes for 4-year-olds. She summed it up in one sentence. If she could bottle intergenerational programs in a medicine, it would be just perfect. So go and get intergenerational programs happening.
I love it. Love your advocacy for that this morning. Tegan Del Moro, Senior Financial Planning with Insight Wealth Planning. Thank you so much for your time and expertise today. And Greg Cronan, representing the Australian Institute of Intergenerational Practice and also a carer himself. Greg, thank you so much. Thank you to both of you. Here on 1233 ABC Newcastle, Paul Turton continues the conversation after 9 o'clock. Hello.
Yeah, g'day, Paul. The care squeeze continues. You'll hear from more people burning the candle at both ends, trying to meet the demands on their time.
Thank you. Paul Turton will keep you company on the radio after 9 o'clock. The care squeeze continues right through the day on ABC Radio. Thank you for all your texts and calls. Of course, you can continue to keep them coming to Paul Turton and, of course, Jenny Marchant on Drive from 3 o'clock this afternoon.